Got it. I got a message from Brother Ehsan from Pakistan. Brother Ehsan, yeah, I think he knows you, Dr. Fatmir.
Oh,
he said, I didn't know Dr. Fatmir is a revert. I said, no, he's not a revert. He's talking about Islam in Albania today. So I think he's probably seeing from Pakistan. I think he's in Lahore, I think. Dr. Ehsan Malik. Ehsan Malik.
Malik. Yes.
You know.
Ehsan Malik.
He'll probably be on the Facebook. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for coming. Yeah, welcome. So a nice picture behind you. Put a picture of the.
Yeah, we pray to be there one day, inshallah. So far, I haven't been there, but inshallah, we pray that Allah will grant us to go there, inshallah, soon.
Inshallah, yeah. I was there also in 2001, actually, a long time ago. So it's about time.
Yeah, to go again, you know.
Yeah, 2001. But I did my Hajj in 1985.
Oh, a long time.
Long time ago. So I think after that I did a lot of not good things, maybe. So I need to go back and start another round of cleansing. Inshallah. Have you talked to Sister Elaine yesterday? What? Did you discuss with her?
Yes, we discussed regarding what will be the content and all this. We discussed, yeah, alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. I think,
so she shared the video with me, then I went through it, and I think no problem for me, no problem, inshallah. I try my best to give as much as I can.
Boleh, inshallah. I think she'll be okay.
Yeah.
Ellen?
Yeah.
Yours?
Just waiting for a Camille to
Okay,
set up.
should I play the video now?
Okay.
Can Camille can start
Okay.
now. Okay. I will also get into the discussion, Ellen.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're slightly more active today.
That's good.
Okay, but you lead. I mean, I might just interject from time to time.
Right. Well, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good evening to everyone. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yeah, so to all our Facebook friends who are actually with us tonight, let me just have a look. Yeah, we have a couple of friends here. So welcome to My Journey to Islam, our very episode of this month of May 2024. So welcome everyone. If you are with us on Facebook, we very much would like to invite you to click like and click share. And basically by just clicking the share, you will be doing your part of da'wah, inshallah. All right, so my name is Elaine Aisha, and I'm here tonight with very interesting figure, our special guest, and also CEO Axin Haji Jamal is here as well. So we're going to have a quick chat tonight for this easily another next 15 minutes. Yeah. So before I introduce our guest tonight, okay, let me just welcome Haji Jamal to maybe say something. Thank you so much for joining us, Haji Jamal. Yeah, we need you to unmute your mic. Unmute.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here and in the company of a scholar from International Islamic University, Dr. Fatmir Shehu. And he has a very interesting background. We met a few times in ISTAC and also in IIUM. And I think we thank him very much because today, although the title is My Journey to Islam, it also covers certain interesting lands that we have not really understood. Yeah? For example, a few months ago, we had Dr. Musa, I think, from Uganda, he's a born Muslim, but he gave the Islam in Uganda. So today, I think we're looking forward to Dr. Fatmir's explanation or description of Islam in Albania, because it's a far-off land for us, but it is majority Muslim, and it was under the Soviet rule for a long time. So for me personally, I'm interested to find out how is the transition of Islam and the practice of Islam from the time after World War II right up to today. So that is, I think, the interest for me today. So please, Elaine, take it off and let's get into the interesting details. Thank you.
That's a good teaser, Haji Jamal. That's a good teaser. Like, yeah, there's so much to talk about. Yeah, thank you for always getting this very interesting figure and personalities to our program. Yeah, so a little bit about our guest speaker tonight. So, he has actually done a lot of research which is interest in Islam and inter-religious dialogue, Sunnah studies, comparative religion, yeah, Muslim and Western scholarship in comparative religion, world religions, theology, ethnic and also minority studies, and so on and so on. It's just a long credential here. I'm going to finish reading all, but I understand that there's also Prof also represented in many international and local conferences, seminars, and forums. Even when I look at your Facebook, I think it's just full of what do you call that? A lot of sharing, a lot of posts on many sharings that you've done before. So we'd like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Fatmir Shehu, who is our key sharer for tonight. So over to you, Dr. Fatmir. Maybe you can begin with a little bit of introduction about yourself and what you are doing now before we go on next.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, wa man tabi'ahu bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Thank you very much, Sister Elania Aisha, for inviting me to this program that is a series of programs by Akin, Malaysia, as well as I'm very thankful to Brother Muhammad Jamaluddin for extending his invitation to me to share my thoughts and ideas, as well as my experience, how I came back to Islam. Before we look at it, and of course, above all, we have to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making easy for us to be here tonight with you. And when, of course, my name, as it was introduced, I'm Fatmir Shehu. I do come from Albania. Of course, I come from the southern part of Albania. It is a village that is named Pluk, and that is attached to the city that is Fier in Albania, in the southern part of Albania. And the 100% of my village, they are Muslims. And of course, when you look at yes, I have here in Malaysia for almost 30 years. And for the time being, I have been teaching in the International Islamic University in Malaysia for almost 17 years in Usuluddin, a comparative religion. And it is a part of my activities that at the same time, when I share this knowledge that I have gained from my experience while being a student in this university, as well as now teaching, still I believe that there is a learning process. There is no end to knowledge, and especially when we look at the privilege that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for me by guiding me to the truth of Islam and gave me the opportunity to read more, to understand more, as well as to share it with others. So I think that is what I can start with, just a brief information.
Right, that's interesting. So I heard that you were saying that 30 years. That's wow. All right, so I was just curious, like, how did you actually came to Malaysia? As in, like, what made you come to Malaysia? It was like
yeah, that's a very
30 years ago.
interesting question, Elania. When I look at many people that raise this question. It is very far from Albania to come to Malaysia.
Yeah.
It will take like if I say 15 hours by airplane. If you want to come here directly, if you come, if you stop transit, then you take more. Yes, I mean, that is one. Of course, when I go back to my time, when I was, before I came to Malaysia, I was like 18 years old, 19 years old, I came to Malaysia. So that was the best time of being a young man during the time. And before I decided to come to Malaysia, of course, I went through, when you look at how Islam was presented in Albania during the time. Yes, if you go back to the beginning of the whole story, how Islam was introduced to Albania, we have to be very thankful to the Muslims who brought Islam to Albania. It was a long time ago, but officially it came during the Ottoman Caliphate, that is what introduced by the Muslims back to the 15th century. So if we say from the 15th century until the fall of the Ottoman Caliphate, we were living together. So most of them, the majority, according to the statistics of that time, they were almost 70%, they were Muslims. And the Muslims in Albania, that they had their own autonomy to govern and rule their countries, even though we were under the Ottoman Caliphate, and they facilitated the needs of all people in the country. Even I can say the language of that time, that we were not deprived from using our language, but we use our language with Arabic letters. Like here in Malaysia, they use the Jawi letters. We used to have the same thing. Now, when the Ottoman Caliphate fall, then there was a different episode in Albania. And you know that Albania was with difficulties. It became a separate state by itself. And then we went through the First World War, then the Second World War. So that created, the situation was very complicated, even for the people in the region there, not only for the Muslim, but we look at the other minorities that were living together with us in Albania, Christians, and we had some Jewish minorities as well. And they are still today living with us, and other minorities coming from different backgrounds. Now, after the Second World War, everything was okay. Muslims were allowed to practice their religion, Christians and others, until the 1967, when the regime of that time, that was communism, they closed everything that was related to religion, whether it was Islam or Christianity, any other religion. And according to the historical, background, when you look at certain references, that during that time we had many places of worship, especially for Muslims, almost 1,600 masajid, and almost all of them were destroyed by the system. So we are not allowed for a period of almost 50 years, if we say 1967 until 1990, we are not allowed to get access to any religion. And I consider myself, even though we are Muslims, but we were educated with the system of that time. We are born in the system. I was born in 1973. So that was, there is a big gap from the time that the people were allowed to practice religion. Then I was educated in the system with the framework of the communism. So we believed in that. It became a part of our life. And we believed in that. We didn't believe in God at all, but we believed in and the focus of communist system, it was believing in the party. I believe there was a kind of religion that made people to believe in this world instead of in the hereafter. So the focus of Muslims, we can say my generation, was not related to religion at all. But we can say maybe the elderly people, they kept it very silent. They're not able to communicate anything about religion. The situation was very bad, because the moment that they communicate, then they will be in trouble. Many of them, they were put in prison. We had many great scholars among the Muslims who were put in prison, and some of them survived until 1990s. So they came out from the jail and they became very active for the dawah purpose. When I look at, they were the first one to initiate these activities about Islam. Now, of course, that is, as I mentioned now, even though we were, Muslims, but I didn't know anything about Islam. Not only me, but all my generation and those who came after me. So we didn't know anything. Then, as I mentioned, we are educated according to the system. And I believe the system of education that we went through, it was very good. They had morals. They taught us morals, values, how to behave, how to become. And you know that when you look at the system, that even though it was against religion, I live myself that it was very close to the community. So we're very close as a community, and we were taught to respect one another, especially the elderly people, the young people. And when we go to public places, regardless of the situation that we went through. I mean, that is what I can say and to acknowledge. But at the end, before the fall of communism, these values were not there anymore. It is like the last 3 years or maybe 4 years, I was attending the high school in Albania, and there was a change. We consider the change because the system itself was losing its direction. We did not see exactly what was there before, and people were not anymore how they were before. Sincere, they started to change, and suddenly we had the fall of communism. Then the new life started for Albanians and especially for Muslims. I mean, when you look at it, even though I didn't know anything about Islam, but and when I finished the high school, I was ready to find a job. But what pushed me and motivated me at that beginning, that was my family. My father, he was very much, even though during communism, he didn't teach us anything about Islam, but we could see the values in the family. So even though we didn't ask any question why we have to do this, but I can see myself that he maintained the Islamic values while teaching us throughout his life until the system collapsed, the communist system. But he never told us, that was very, as I mentioned, it was very crucial, because the moment that he was going to tell us, then we are going to talk in public, in the school, then he'll be in trouble. The moment that we revealed that, then he was going to be in jail. And I can share with you that that was a challenge that I faced. There was a program in the TV. I remember when I was attending the high school, then this program was talking about the creation of man. Now, from the communist perspective, they followed Darwin's theory, evolution, according to that evolution. And we believed in that. That was a part of our life. And I was quarreling with my father, telling him that this is the reality, this is the truth. And he said, you don't know the truth. But he never told me that God created us, he didn't tell me that, but he just opposed me like that. Then he off the TV. So that was my first incident when I look at my father, that he became very angry. And I thought that why he's responding to me in that way. Mm-hmm. But that was the last moment and he did not open that anymore. And of course, if he was going to talk, perhaps this was going to continue. Then I never shared this with outsiders. Not only that, but because my father didn't push and didn't say that, okay, God created us, Then I was going to tell my friends that, that Darwin theory is nothing, then God created us, according to my father. But that was, the first thing that I can say that made me like to think, even though we are educating that system, and that was exactly, if I say 1.5 years before the fall of communism in Albania, that things started to change. I could see that, slowly there was a gradual change. Even though the system of that time, I remember that they came to our school and they were propagating very strongly the ideas. Not only that, but they were opening the door for people, the young people like us, to become members at the early age, something that was not allowed before. And I could see that how advocate these people were. And the moment they were talking, they were making us like looking at them like they were saying, wow, this is great, what they used to say. But of course, my father was a bit fanatic that you don't have to become a member of any party, because that was the party. He said, we haven't been there. Okay, no problem. We respect them. We believe in that, but you don't have to become, unless if they tell us, okay, but you don't have to do that. So there was not like opposing directly, but I can see that my father opposed it, but not in a straightforward way. Otherwise, there would be a problem, even though it was, I mean, at the end of communism. Another thing I consider when the system fall in Albania, because if we could say that, okay, the system of communism could not destroy, the perception of Muslims about Islam, especially the elderly people. I remember the moment that the system was, collapsed, then suddenly the first week of, we had the first sermon that was given in one of the biggest cities in Albania, in the northern part of Albania, Shkodra. Then the first one that was Hafiz Sabri Kochi, rahimullah, because he passed away. He was in prison for many years, but he came out. They put him in prison when he was very young. Then he came out above 70, But he was practicing there. He did not forget, Quran. He memorized the Quran. Then he gave the first sermon in that city, And there is an old masjid that was built during the Ottoman Caliphate at the early stage. And you can see the calligraphy, it is almost like it is fresh like now. But the thing that I wanted to share with you, that something I didn't know during the time, but I came to know it later on when I wrote an article about tendencies to bring back Islam to Albania. And I look at this figure. Now, at that particular moment, how these people came out from different parts of Albania, it is like more than 100,000 people. Some they say up to 200,000 people, they gathered, not in the masjid, outside the masjid. If you look at, there is a documentary. Now we say that if communism was fundamental, it was, something that is transcendental, stable, can provide for what is needed by people, then why they did not, they were not able to take out from the hearts and the minds of these people Islam. So that is another thing that we have to reflect on it and look at it from that perspective, looking at the fact that Islam is a different way of life compared to other ways of life that we can see. People are free to choose whatever they want to choose. But when we look at the reality based on my experience, when that is the first stage, and another opportunity that made me to come back to Islam and to have this strong foundation. But that was the very beginning. So during the time, even though I was ready and the job was ready for me, but as I mentioned, my father was pushing on. He wanted to focus more on this thing. Then there was an opportunity that they opened a school during the time, like 6 months, basic teachings about Islam. So I found it a bit difficult because it was very far from my place where I used to stay, because I had to leave my home almost every day at 3 a.m. in the morning, then come back almost 10 p.m. at night. So that was during the transition period that we went through in Albania. And the situation was not very stable. I remember that during the time when I used to come at night, we had this, before I leave my city, there is a neighborhood that they used to accompany me, because they said this is transition period. How come you come late alone at this time of the night? Then I was thinking, I think that even though that was difficult for me to understand at that level, but during the time when I was going alone at that age, of course, we are alone, going for almost 1 hour, 30 minutes walking at night. Then I used to read these verses from the Quran that I used to memorize, like the Al-Ma'udatain, Suratul Nas, Suratul Falak, as well as Suratul Ikhlas, as well as Ayat Kursi. This is what I memorized at the beginning. But when I was reading this, I used to find this kind of tranquility in myself. And I felt that, you see, that is, based on my experience, then I didn't feel any difficulties, I saw throughout these 6 months that I used to go through, I didn't face any problem. That was the first experience. Then I say, okay, that is how God is protecting me, No one is protecting me, but when I look at myself, then I saw that I was alone. Frankly speaking, every night, okay, in the morning, we can say it is a bit, maybe early morning, some people used to go, but when I used to come at night, I used to come alone 1 hour, 30 minutes. And it's not like it is now, because during that time, the life was very simple. People, and it was transition period, people were closed in their homes. They did not go after, before 10 p.m. at night, they were not going out from the homes. That was a transition period. But that is how I can say that, I mean, that strengthened my iman if I look at the beginning, even though still I was not satisfied, frankly speaking. I was not at that level that I say, okay, now, wow, I have become, I mean, a complete Muslim, but that was the first stage. You see, when I look at before coming to Malaysia. So that was very basic.
Right.
It was not just I learned everything. This is what I can
must say,
say.
yeah, but I must say that your story is very different compared to what we've been, we've heard. It's really not easy coming from that kind of environment. Yeah, yeah, mashallah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And when I look at it, as I mentioned, it was like a big challenge for me. You see, from one side, my father was pushing me. Even during the time at the early stage, I wanted to quit that, because I found very difficult. But then my father said, okay, it's up to you, but I provide everything that you need. So please don't quit, So that was another challenge that even though, of course, we had a great respect for our parents, that is how we were taught. And I said, okay, let me just follow. Then it became like a normal, At the beginning, I saw that it was very difficult, but when I started to continue, then it became a part of my life. It is like, even though we didn't have any alarm I made to put for the clock, but it became a habit that 3 o'clock I used to get up and come back later, even though I used to come late, but it became a part of my life, even though I found difficult, but that is how. Even I can say another challenge was like traveling there, It's very difficult. I used to take usually during the time, we had the bus for the workers that they used to bring them from one city to another city, especially in petroleum. So that was my field that I did high school. So I came to know some of these cars that used to go there, especially the car. I mean the big cars that used to be at that time. And I used to go even sometimes running after that and getting into the car, and that was a challenge. So traveling every day, almost 2 hours going there and 2 hours coming back. So that was another challenge for me.
right.
Even another thing, Elani, I can share that even though, I mean, that was at the beginning. Now, another question, because my father was very particular. I mean, haram was very open. As we are not like in Malaysia, that is different. Then I thought, because my father used to remind me every day when I used to go there, okay, I used to take what I was going to eat for the whole day, I used to take with me. My mother used to pack, Rahimada, used to pack food for me until I come back, because I saw that they used to, at that time, before that, we didn't pay attention, I didn't have that perception. I was a part of it. But that time, my father was very particular, telling me that this is so, even though we are teaching basics there, then I started to avoid this kind of interaction. Even though the food that they used to sell was very nice, but I started to stop myself, You see, they used to bake meat at the roadside at that time where the school was, that school that we used to attend. It was like few of us. It was like they wanted to produce imams. That was the beginning. And I said, maybe that can be an opportunity for me to learn for myself, But that was another challenge that I can see, looking at others having this opportunity, but I stopped myself. Then another question that came to my mind, I said, oh, that is another thing that I learned, how to get rid of all these things that people are used to it, and we were used to it before. It was a bit difficult, if I look at it, the transition period.
I wanted to ask a question as in because my journey to Islam, this program, we have a lot of followers who are actually reverts. So every time they will learn something from our guest speaker. So listening to Dr. Fatmir's experience, that's really not easy. There's a lot of challenge, and the challenge is like much bigger. I mean, from a lot of stories that I personally have heard. So the question here is like, listening to what you mentioned just now, it sounds easy, like you overcome one by one. But is there any tips or any advice maybe you want to share with new reverts? Whenever they face any challenges, right? Is there any tips like any surah you read or how you frame your mind so to overcome the feeling or the anxiety in your mind? Is there something that you practice?
Yes. Thank you, Elania. That is a very important question that even at the beginning, it came to my mind at the early stage. But I found the only, thing that, if I say the solution that can be for that kind of situation or experience that we go through, since we are looking for someone that is higher than everything else, and that is our Creator, when we commit ourselves to Him, and I experienced myself, then the moment that I was going through this kind of experience, that having fear, losing something, then I surrender myself to Him. Even though I didn't have that strong understanding about who is the Creator, but I believe that the one to whom I was going to be close to Him, and He is the one who is protecting us. When I had that kind of idea at the beginning, and the one who is providing for us, there is no one that can stop Him for doing any harm to us. So that was at the beginning, when I used to do that journey from my home to that level, at the early stage, I didn't think about this, but when I look at it, then I had this commitment to continue that journey, to study. Then I found an easy way that I committed myself to have a conversation every night. I used to come back home with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that made my life very easy, frankly speaking, And I was reading these verses, Ayat Kursi. I used to read that the moment that I used to have a kind of fear, especially when I used to go through certain places where there was a complete darkness, and there was some kind of, bushes here and there. No one was there. Then when I went through this, I could feel that or felt that I was alone, but I started to read this, and this kind of fear that I had was gone completely for me, That was the early stage, as I mentioned. And later on, I have realized that when I went through this kind of experiences, and I believe that based on my experience, even though now I'm at this level, the only one that we have to surrender completely is the one who created us. This is, of course, people are made a cause by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us, That is the way. But the only one that can help us in any kind of situation, I would like to advise myself and those who are listening that is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our Creator. He can provide whatever we need. Now that will help us to clarify our relationship with Him and to strengthen our commitment to Him. Wherever we are, we make sure that Allah is observing us. So if we have that in our mind, I think everything will be easy, inshallah. So every time we blame others, we don't blame ourselves. We don't look at how we can establish a good relationship with the one who created us. Now you can say, I talk because I'm at this level, but now I can reflect when I go back to the time that was exactly what I went through, frankly speaking. This is how I look at it based on my experience. But alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. So I captured the two keywords, which is commit and also to surrender. So
Yes.
surrender ourselves. That's where we get the strength with the Creator Himself. MashaAllah. Right, maybe, like you say, a lot of people say, oh, you've reached a stage, you overcome it, that's why it's easy for you to say it. But I always like to not say what, to dig back, like to trace back, like, before anyone reached that stage, it's always that's why the journey, like how did that, so it's really interesting and very, very valuable.
Not only that, Elania, if I may add to it, not only that, but even when I came to Malaysia, still that was a great challenge for me as well, because I was still on the learning process. You see, if we look at people, how they practice, even though during the time Malaysia was much better, if I look at the simplicity of the people, you look at the character of the people, the way they welcomed us, they were, of course, we didn't see that development that we can see now in Malaysia. I can see that we can see, in the university during that time, we used to know each other. But now our university is very big. So during the time when I came here, yes, changing the environment, changing the place, the people, even though they helped us a lot, they struggled a lot to provide for what is needed by us. But yet I can say that the first 2 years, it was another challenge for us, how to adapt ourselves in another environment and to look at it from that perspective, because we are talking about dealing with different people, different culture, even though they were Muslims, but how they're going to cope up with us. I feel that's something that my friends who came with me, they couldn't stand, But I said, yes, they couldn't stand because the weather was one of the factors. Maybe you can say it was very far. They felt like loneliness, something that in my life I didn't go far away from my family because we are not allowed to travel outside Albania for that time, So that was a long distance. Then I remember the words of my father when he greeted me before leaving Albania. He said that whatever is happening, don't look behind. Now you go there, you look forward. So I remember that every time. So even though it was a challenge, but another thing that I would like to share with those who are listening, that we have to show this endurance. Sabr is very important. Even though we go through these challenges, but if we don't commit ourselves, as I mentioned before, we don't show this continuous endurance, we can give up anytime. And I went through this situation to give up anytime. But what made me to continue, it is that I said, okay, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. For the first 2 years, we didn't know the language. How? We started to learn language. I learned English language, Arabic language in this university. And they, not only that, another challenge that we found, of course, we had these friends, who came to see us every day and to talk with us. But another thing I find very difficult that, okay, they were telling us we have to pray, come and pray with us, something that we're not used to it, You see, another thing that even though I attended that short time in Albania, but we were not used to offer this prayers regularly. Even fasting, I remember that I fasted only 4 days before coming to Malaysia in Albania. Now, even here, when I came, we find another challenge. Okay, you have to do this, you have to do this, Now, how to stand this another thing? You're coming new. Now you find another situation than they are telling you. But I found this now when I go back to that time, I found that was very good for us to train us, And that, I believe that made me who am I today. Otherwise, it was very difficult. Whatever others might say, those are not able to stand it. But I'm very thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, as well as to the community that He brought me, frankly speaking. This is how I look at the reality, because even though I went through these challenges, but with the help of these people, alhamdulillah, I managed to be who am I now, alhamdulillah. This I can
MashaAllah.
say.
Yeah, that's why we say everything happened for a good reason, right? So during
Exactly.
that time, most probably you didn't see why. Why did Allah give you that kind of test? Yeah.
Exactly.
Now that when you look back, even though your dad say don't look back, now when you recall back, you can actually realize the goodness in it, and eventually, yeah, it made you who you are today. So yeah, I wanted to ask something just now about, I read somewhere about these diploma certificates that is that under IIUM, that you are, there's a committee who
Yes,
are working on it? Yeah.
of course, even though we learn, but another important that we have to share with others. Now, as I mentioned before, this is a great opportunity that Allah has given to all of us, and especially I look at it from myself. I see that now, after I have gained this kind of knowledge, I find this a great responsibility for me and every Muslim to share what Allah has given to us with others. Besides being active in our department, teaching courses and giving lectures to our students, I am active in some other programs. Like in one of my courses that I teach the students how to cope up with different situations and how to deal with non-Muslims. That is a part of the interreligious dialogue course that I teach, as well as when I look at the Dawah courses that I used to teach previously. We used to teach our students how to interact with others. And I found this very useful when I look at, especially when I organize with my students every semester interreligious dialogue, and I engage my students and I train them how to deal with members of different religious communities, to communicate to them, to facilitate them, and to become a part of it, because that is how we contribute to the establishment of the future leaders of our community and humanity at large. Another thing that it is, other activities that I engage beside helping people, whatever they need, any advice, whatever I can do, even any kind of assistance that I'm able to do, I'm trying to do that. And beside that, we are having a program online that is the diploma certificate on Islamic thought and integration of knowledge that is meant for the Euro-Asian countries that were under communism. So we have started that program for almost 4 years until now. It is a certificate. 4 years, almost 4 years. 4 years, yeah. 4 years, that is an online program. It is free of charge. Those who are joining this program, they don't have to pay anything. So it is open for everyone who is willing to join this program. It is like we go by trimesters, not semester, trimester. This means like within 1 year, you can finish the diploma. But if you want to extend to another year and a half or maybe 2 years, still it is allowed. Because the most important thing that we look at this program, it is to provide the basic knowledge about Islam to those who don't have knowledge about Islam. We are dealing with people who come from different professions. They're experts in their fields. Now we have even professors who are attending these programs, but they don't have knowledge about Islam. So what we provide for them, it is the basic knowledge, even though when you look at the program itself, it is very high, but we have well-qualified trainers or instructors who made it very easy. So the program, it is both in English language as well as in the language of the region, in Russian language. So, and now we have, we have almost 2 batches that have been graduated, and now we expect them to continue because that program, it is, very useful and beneficial for these people.
Right. So for whoever is interested, they could basically find out more from IIUM?
Yes. This is the IKI Academia.
I see. All right. MashaAllah. Oh yeah, there's a note here. Dr. Siku Tur from DICID, Doha, Qatar, send his regards.
Oh, mashallah. I convey my salam to him as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam. All right. Yeah, so yeah, we just before we wrap up the session today, I would like to maybe seek some advice or some last words from Dr. Fatmir to our fans who are watching the program. Perhaps especially for those new reverts or reverts who are going through challenges along the journey. Yeah, anything at all you want to say to them?
Yes, of course, that is a lot of things that we have to say to them, but to make it very brief and very precise, based on what I understand according to my experience. So I'd like to advise those who are listening that they have to show a clear commitment to the cause that they are attaching themselves to. If they believe that this is the right way to be followed, then they have to be very patient while going through these challenges. And indeed, this is a continuous challenge, whether we like it or not. Because maybe we think that we overcome this challenge, then suddenly another challenge we are going to face. So it does mean that because life in this world, we believe it is like that. We don't believe that life in this world is perfect. If it is perfect, then we are not meant to be here.
Yeah.
As we know that life in paradise that Allah has promised to those who believe in Him and live according to the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be granted the bliss of paradise. So now, when you look at this far future, and that will make us to reach that, what Allah promised, then we have to dedicate ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is what I can say and advise. And another thing, try to avoid any kind of doubt that you are going to go through. Because we know that the doubts that we get from our friends, those who are looking at us, maybe based on our previous experience that we had, maybe they might disturb you saying that, oh, how can you become a Muslim? How do you know that Allah is going to forgive you? How do you know that Allah is going to delete from your records all the past? So this is another challenge that we go through. You know, I faced that myself. Now, in order to avoid this, so you can maintain a good relationship with them, but don't listen to what they say, because this might affect you. Now, as I mentioned, if you have a clear picture about your aim to achieve, then you listen to what you want to look forward. And that is the only solution. Then you dedicate yourself to Allah, show a clear commitment to Him, then you can see the result. The result, maybe you don't see it today, because we never get something that we ask Allah to get it today. But I can see that in a long, far future, you can see the result that is coming step by step. Sometimes we get it very straightforward, but sometimes we get it very late, because we believe, and you have to believe in that Allah grants to those who dedicate themselves to Him what is good for them.
Yes.
We see that others, they have many good things, but we don't have what they have. And Allah knows that this is not good for us. It might be good for them, but it's not good for us. So
Yes.
the test will be there, a continuous test. You have to believe that will be there. And Allah is testing the believers more than anyone else. So now, since you have joined that journey as a newcomer to Islam, so please don't give up. You don't, and you don't have to think that now you became a Muslim, then life is very easy. You have to bear in mind that your life will become more difficult compared to where before.
Yes.
This is the reality, So now, if you want to see the beauty of Islam and to get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so please try to understand what you are doing, as well as apply and live according to what you are doing. It is like you are not just only a Muslim by name, but make sure that you live according to Islam. Only then you can see the beauty and the sweetness of Islam. And the rest, we leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
MashaAllah.
This is what I can say.
Alhamdulillah, that's really very meaningful, yeah. So I like that. Don't think so it's gonna be easy, but at the same time, yeah, it's not gonna be hard in a way. Actually, we have a community, yeah. I very much agree with that. You're not alone, because there's a big
Exactly.
community, and it's just a matter of where do you get out and reach out to speak to someone and to ask for help, or to open up and talk. Yeah, that's really very helpful to have a community with you.
And another
So
thing,
yeah,
is because we think that you don't think that when a person is Muslim, he's like an angel. So we never think about this, So that will is our way to deal with the members of our community, because now we commit ourselves to Islam. You don't think that Muslims are perfect, No one is perfect except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because some of them who come new to Islam, based even my experience, when I look at it, I thought that Muslims should be perfect, They don't have to commit any sin. But the reality is that Muslims are tested more than anyone else, because now they want to get the pleasure of Allah. Now, if you want to get that, as I mentioned before, then we have to accept the reality the way it is, not the way we want to be. Now, we might be offended directly or indirectly by some Muslims, but it doesn't mean that we are better than they are. You don't think that you are a newcomer to Islam and you think that you know everything about Islam. So that is another challenge, that we might think that, oh, wow, I know now I become a Muslim, then I know better than others. Now we forget the etiquette, how to deal with those who are opening the door for us to join this community. So that is very important for the newcomers. When they come, don't think that, even though sometimes we get this kind of response, but don't think that these people, they don't care about you. If they don't care about you, how they allow you and open the door for you to come in? This is the reality.
yeah.
May Allah
people
make it easy.
Correct, inshallah. That's really good. Yeah, actually a lot of people care about us. Yeah, especially I just want to add on, like for new reverts, some may think that, oh, their family member are very against it. they're against it and they feel about it because they care for you, and it's all out of love. Yeah, it's just a matter of time. Yeah, a lot of prayer will actually help. Yeah, to open their heart and to make them understand. Yeah. Right. So thank you so much, Dr. Fatmir, for your time tonight. I know you are have very tight schedule. Yeah, it's a well spent 1 hour. And Haji Jamal, do you have anything to add on? You need to open your mic again, your microphone.
Yeah, thank you, Elaine. I've been listening very conscientiously to Dr. Fatmir, but I think he has a lot more to share. But okay, I think we've got a feel of his gist of his thoughts and his personal experience. I think it's amazing that the challenges that you have gone through, and it's actually also a lesson to all of us to say that we are not the only ones who are facing challenges. We're not perfect. The others who are facing even bigger challenges. Our thoughts and prayers to our brothers and sisters in Gaza.
Amen.
And yeah, and inshallah, I think I like to conduct tours, not business tours, but tours in organizations that I have led before, where I find that if you travel together, you get to know the subject matter well, and then you also get to know each other very well, and people remember. So, for example, when I was in the Federal Territory Islamic Association as a chairman of the NGOs, we organized a trip to Singapore, in 2010, and it was a very good visit. We visited the religious authorities, we visited the NGOs, mosque in Singapore, and we learned a lot from them. And I met one of the person for the first time after that 14 years ago in one of the Hari Raya gatherings, and he was recalling the trip 14 years ago. So I think that's the power of traveling with each other. And we remember Sayyidina Omar Al-Khattab, he said the best way to know each other is by traveling together. And why not, Dr. Fatmir, you organize a travel to Albania and maybe Bosnia.
Inshallah,
Inshallah,
yeah.
I think it'll be very popular. Maybe
Inshallah.
limit to only about 10 or 12 people, that's it. I think there's a lot people who wants to be who wants to go on the trip to learn, a trip on da'wah and understanding the life in Albania, and also maybe Bosnia. We have heard so much about Bosnia, Sarajevo, but we have never been there because it's out of the way. Sometimes we go to Istanbul, we go to London, of course, Southeast Asia, Jakarta, Bangkok. I just came back from Doha 2 weeks ago, or 10 days ago, for the conference, and we met Dr. Seiko Tore. He's your student, I think.
Our student, from our university.
Fantastic person. He's from Burkina Faso, I think, but now he's working in Qatar. And I think that is a good thing that we can do, because also in Exin, I organized a trip to Indonesia, to Yogyakarta and all that, and it was very well received and very informational and useful for all of us.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, we still remember when was the visit and what did we learn, what was the interesting things, and so on. And even with the non-Muslims, we have done that. Non-Muslims, we even have visited the Vatican in the year 2010. And just to share a simple story, we were in a restaurant, all the religious leaders, different religious leaders. and our bus was coming, and we all went into the bus, and we left.
Oh.
The chief priest, the Buddhist chief priest of Brickfields, Datuk Damaratna, he actually went to the toilet, and he missed the bus. He was left in the restaurant. So until today, we disturb him when we see him. Where is Chief? Where is Chief? In the bus. So things like that, I think, can be useful, and the cost may not be that much. Anyone who wants to go can bear the cost. Elaine, you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, there is a lot to learn, Brother Mohammed Maluddin. When you look at the Balkans, is another experience that Muslims in this part of the world, they will know more about this region.
Yes.
It is when you look at the experience that they have gone now, it is much better compared to what I'm talking about at the early stage. You see that we have many madrasas, we have many places of worship, masajid, for Muslims as well as the Christians there in the region. Though you can see, like when you go to Bosnia, it's a different experience. You go to Kosovo, a different experience. You go to Albania, you can see another different experience. But you are dealing with the same region when you look at the Balkans,
Yeah.
In Doha, we had one of the panelists was the Deputy Prime Minister of Kosovo.
Oh,
a lady. She's a lady. She said, "I am a busy person. I'm a Deputy Prime Minister, and the toughest part is she's head of a party, a political party. That's the toughest part. I have 3 children," she said, "and I still cook for the family, So that was very interesting when she shared a lot of her experience from Kosovo.
I think the
So
tour idea is really it's something really good, because I mean, just like Chinese we say, right, there's a proverb, we say no matter how many times, 100 times you listen about something, nothing beats when you see it and you experience it by yourself.
Yes.
So the learning and the memory you have, right, you will just melekat, you will just stuck there rather than you just listen. So
Correct.
yeah, I think that's something possible to work on.
We can
even Allah says in the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Fasiru fil ardi fanzuru. Now we have to go around the world and see what is there,
The greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah, that is another experience that we can benefit from others. That will improve our own perception about the people wherever they are, as well as become better Muslims, and above all to serve the community and humanity at large. So that is our concern here.
True. Well, good. So we are good here. Anything to add on before we wrap up tonight's session?
What I can say, Elani, I just would like to thank Akin for inviting me here again, as well as especially that you have been communicating with me from the very beginning. I appreciate your approach, and I believe that I have done my responsibility, as well as I would like to thank a lot Brother Mohammed Jamaluddin, the CEO of IKIN, for extending his invitation to me and to share this, as well as I benefit from his experience. And another thing that I would like to thank those who are following up with us in this in the Facebook, and I believe that we can extend that relationship by communicating with them later on. It is not like listening to us what we shared here, but we can extend and establish a new relationship with them. So I am ready to provide any kind of help or assistance as far as I can to those who are willing to share the experience, especially the newcomers to Islam. I'll be very happy and glad to do that. So thank you so much. And another thing, may Allah guide us and protect us and bless all of us, inshallah.
Ameen, 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 ameen. Right, so the pleasure definitely is ours. So thank you very much for your time. Yeah, and also thank you very much, Haji Jamaluddin, for spending your time with us and always get us very interesting and also unique personalities onto the program. So with that, we call it off tonight for this month. So we'll see everyone again next month in the month of June, and stay tuned to our next program, and let's see who will be the next personality to be on board. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum
Thank you, Elaine.
warahmatullahi
Bye-bye.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.